All right, let's try some live trade examples. Start with the scratch. Yeah, I think so, pretty sure. This is dead in the water. Should have waited for it, really. I'll give it to about here. Before I quit, probably. Just in case. I'm watching the Dixie, just in case the Dixie turns. Here, potentially, and launches back. It's election day in the UK, so I'm expecting some volatility, to be honest. It's probably not a great day to be going in a bigger size than usual. I'm on my prop challenge with FTMO, and yeah, I was sort of 2% up recently. After, I don't know, 200 trades, I was just taking it really easily, just going to grind it up. Then I decided to up the size, struggled a bit, went on tilt, various things, swung it back down the other way by nearly 3%. But I'm back on track now, keeping the higher size, but just tightening up the risk and cutting the shenanigans, really. I'm sure we've all said that to ourselves a million times, but yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm looking at correlations between gold, anything with the dollar, gold and pound in this case. And this is the Dixie, the dollar index here, which is dropping, which should mean the others rise, but yeah, I'm just going to monitor to see if this drop is limited. Volume sort of exhausting on it, which can happen midway through a drop, as here, but it looks potentially, and as I was zooming out earlier on this overly compressed chart, you can see it's sort of coming into testing where it last got stuck, if you like, a volume node. I don't think this particular trade is going to work out particularly well. In this case, it was a bit too speculative. I was just arrived at my desk and saw what looked like a good setup and hit enter, but yeah, on reflection, that's a little bit too hot on the trigger. What are we talking here? Oh, hello. Actually, should just check. But this could be interesting. This could be a volume push that leaves a gap and keeps going. Should check the news situation though, that there's nothing jump across to my browser. GBP, house prices, retail sales 10 a.m. It's a shame when you lose those small gains, but you have to realize they're small gains, I guess. 3 pips doesn't cut it. I want to be going out to 10. This will be $130 for a 5 pip loss. Yeah, I want to be 2Ring that easily. I often use this tool actually. When I press tab on the indicator I made, it just chucks this on screen. I could actually make this stick to the stop loss and entry point if one exists. Haven't done that yet. And then my sort of this bot up here, this simple takeover I've called it, but basically I could walk away from the trade now in theory, and it would hit stop loss, or it would manage the exit if in profit, which is nice. But and I have screwed up trades before by like manually closing, and then after manually closing, it's, you know, it would have been much better being managed by the bot, but sometimes it's just better to take your wins, your 1 or 2 to if there's volatility or news. Okay, so that was a reversal here, at least for now. I would say I wouldn't guarantee this is sustained, but I do like the volume on it, or at least the effort going into it. It's not showing up as any volume at all just yet. Oh yeah, no, if I look at live volume, it's double the last bar at least. So how I'd read that is, you know, sort of price pushed up with some volume pushes, and then it died off. I'm looking here. It died off. Didn't want to push any further, so you'd expect a retrace of some description. The gap indicator from the M15 chart has marked this as a tiny gap, so it's not really worth registering, but by the same token, it's sort of worth looking for me at these points here, these clusters of where it struggled to break through before. All the prices in this part of the ladder have been looked at, so to speak. So if we bounce off here, back up here, I wouldn't be surprised. Like this. Or if we manage to break through, the underside of it could be the next. This kind of thing. I'll leave that on screen, see how it goes. That's like the ideal path. But to be honest, I should take it if it gets anywhere past 2 in terms of my strategy. The bot is more like a safety mechanism that will, if it gets to 2, when it comes back past 1, it's going to start offloading. Not all at once, just in sort of percentage increments. And then, yeah, if it shoots again, I've still got some on. Or if it comes off, I'm a lot lighter by the time it's come off. So I've covered costs or whatnot. Gold is dropping nicely. It's sort of an interesting one to watch when you're comparing with the dollar. Quite a lot of the time they're in sync, so you see a lot of sideways action. But when it breaks, yeah, it's quite volatile. So like in this case, the dollar leapt. Easier to see on the lower time frame. So in this case, yeah, the dollar leapt up. Gold stayed rather flat, but that was enough to just knock it down. Yeah, what looks like might be happening. It's back to break even, but we'll see, we'll see. I might almost just set an alert here so I can just get out of this one with no cost, because I'm not 100% confident. Then again, when are you ever 100% confident in a trade? Letting things play out is definitely a superpower that few seem to have. I'm still working on it. Yeah, I mean, taking this would have been a reasonable move, but I want this kind of sustainable style of trading that can sit through these little pullbacks and, you know, get the most bang for each risk that I take. You can see here, I think we've got a pullback on the DXY, which is causing these flutters up on the cable. There's no major news. It should be quite a quiet day in theory, because the voting happens throughout the day. The news channels aren't allowed to, and the radio aren't allowed to report on sort of progress or expectations. Social media can, so rumors will be flying around, but yeah, in terms of the pound's reaction to the election, I'm not expecting too many fireworks until later on. I have to remember these aren't one for one sometimes. You know, this isn't a negative, exact negative correlation of the GBP. It's just an interesting sort of proxy to watch. Yeah, we've had a volume style push here and then a bounce off the base. I always wonder whether you can actually chart DXY if it's traded, you know, as a market as much as the other asset classes are. Feels like you can chart it. It feels like a lot of this is very accurate. Like there was a gap here, it bounced here. You know, just sort of in terms of the price ladder where it's coming back to fill unchecked prices. It's obviously not like clockwork, but it's such a regular thing. It feels like here, you know, it didn't go any higher than where it gapped before. Here it came into the gap and pushed back through, but obviously this is the top, the supply as they call it. Let's see what happens at the top of this range here. If it gets to 2R, to be honest, I might just take it because yeah, I've got a day job to go to. And if I let the bot take it out below 1R, it's just a bit sad, isn't it, when you've had a 2R thing in the morning. That said, let's just zoom out a bit and have a little look at the likelihood. So if it's going to break out to new lows, that's going to happen down here. There's also this gap area that looks like it wants testing beyond 5R. What's the DXY saying? Yeah, similar story there. We've got somewhere to pull back up to and a halfway house as well. I can't really think of a narrative for why the DXY would be pushing now. But honestly, I try and keep out of that kind of thing. Like I've got a rough idea of what's going in the markets that day, but it's not going to define how I trade because look at my time frames. I'm on the minute charts, trying to catch fluctuations and small arbitrages between sort of extremes in the base and the quote currency. So it's not the style where the interest rate's going to have a massive effect other than the, you know, the average trend of the currency over the day. Now this has been more successful than expected. I'm at 0.34%, so a third of a percent on this trade after risking I forget how much this is set up to risk, but I also risk less than that. Max 0.5. I think I've risked a quarter. Yeah, because we're just over a quarter in terms of ours. So, yeah. I need to move these three to the right to make them more accurate. I did bunch them up a little bit tightly. The M5 would be a more sensible place to sit, to be honest, on the charts in terms of how my indicator works. But for granularity and to see the movements, I do like to be on M3 or M1 just to check in. So we've hit the top of this now, pierced into it a little bit. If I put volume profile on, you'd probably see a line straight through here, indicating it's going to be a point of resistance. All these prices have been looked at already, less interest for them. If we are going up today, this will be a good turning point, to be honest. So yeah, I might have to end up cutting this trade around here. Got this gap to come up and test now. Plenty going on at once, and none of it is written in stone. What's going on here? Price testing its own gap again on the Dixie. The volume is. Not sure if that's increasing to the downside. It might be. It's all very similar though. There's no big push. Let's see if this can hit the deck and turn around. A little bit of wiggle room here. $1.5R was it here, max? 8 pips. Yeah, I should have taken that. I'm trying to pass a challenge, damn it. Plus I've had the reverse signal here, which I didn't notice, although I'm not sure that means too much. Given that they converged. So that I'd expect this to be much lower to be a strong signal. The pound to have hit its local bottom, the dollar to have hit its local top, much like the entry, but in reverse. See my sort of trend lines as well. They're a little bit late, the red on the straight line here, and then it flips to green here. So I would have entered like here if I was following those. Which is good if you want these 10 pip gains, but sometimes it's a lot less and you don't know when the end's coming. Like the reverse signal is quite late, it takes you back to break even. So ideally you mark out areas that you think are going to be take profits. It's standard practice, but yeah, can't rely on the indicator as such for the exits because you'll be too late. Looks like we got stuck in a bit of sideways action here. We have bounced off the top and then up to this gap and out, which probably looks more sensible on the M1 chart. So like hit the top of this one, come in here, tested this, rejected. The pound is still on a downswing and the dollar's just resumed, hopefully picking up. This red index here is slightly different to the Dixie. Let's see what gold's doing. Oh, right, yeah, okay. I mean, gold has been, yeah, out of sync with Dixie anyway. Correlated more or less. I sometimes just think I should stick to one pair, as a lot of people say. You should just be a gold trader or just be a. Indices are popular on prop firms because obviously they're zero commission, but that's for good reason. If you look at the price action, it can go mad enough to knock you out. Plus they're completely synthetic as well, based on the real Dow, based on the real whatever. They can't, for copyright reasons, just take the data, so they have to adjust the actual price and just try and mirror it, which is sketchy. But it's all sketchy, you know, like none of this is as reliable as futures trading would be, for instance, like real futures trading. But we're not there yet. We're building. Looking for small signs of confirmation. Not getting a lot now. I mean, a lot of volume went into these pushes. So that needs to then run through and percolate, and everyone else needs to catch up. Everyone needs to get their prices, whatever that might be. It might be this dip down back into here. Waiting to see if the next push is useful, basically, or just to cut and wait for the next one. Like, according to this indicator, things are going sideways because these are correlated. We're expecting to see the dollar start to pick up and the pound stay down. But the way these things kind of swing around, I wouldn't be surprised if we had another swing before it pushed again. Okay, volume's still up over here. Again, this can happen. High volume, goes nowhere, drops. This looks like it could be one of those situations where it's testing, and not able to push through to the upside, despite this big push in the first place. I say if it's probably breaks through here, I'll maybe take it off. Or if we get some other signal to the opposite. The gold's still climbing, so. Got my indicators set up how I like them over here, 15 minutes. Gaps. Volume's died up here now. Not much more appetite for a push up. Unless it's a waiting period, a holding period. That was a bit optimistic, wasn't it? Expecting a push through to 3R. It has happened before, but it's not that common. Might just take this third as a punt and move on. Keeping an eye on Dixie now. Dropping more easily, with lower volume. This is where we expect to see a pushback. Or people getting the prices they want to before turning it around. Again, if Dixie is traded that way, I think it's more like it's a proxy of all the other pairs. So this would almost be the signal. Like euro dollar is weighted heavily in there. For some reason, I think the krona is weighted heavily in there, the Swedish krona, which I think is outdated now. There's a few things in the Dixie calculation which I think don't apply as strongly as they did when it was created. So I made my own index, this red line here, but that's still declining as well. I'd like to see that push up. I'm seeing pound, I think I'm seeing pound start to push up here ever so slightly. So yeah, something's got to give. This is on the edge of extinction, this trade. See if it can push lower. Anything above and I'll just get out. Just for any new traders as well, a little warning, you can't really trade this way during sort of high volatility news or anything. So I've watched the calendar, I've checked that there's nothing crazy on the horizon. Things can still happen, news can drop, whatever, but the chances are lower. But if you do this, say at market open or something, US market open where it spikes both ways, 20 pips, or you'll just get wiped out. I'm sort of choosing a quieter period post open really to try and just follow a trend into the next phase of the session. And then I'm monitoring for correlations and things that should just give me an indication of what's ahead. they don't always, and none of it's bulletproof. But yeah, for long stretches of trades at a time, I can work that way, and things are good. It's only sort of my personal failings that let me down, like going on tilt or oversizing and all that stuff. I've actually built some things into like this EA, this simple takeover EA. Like if I start to add a position below this entry, it'll just cancel it straight immediately. So I'll take a small loss on the commission or whatnot, but it won't let me average down. That was something I put in place a long time ago just because I kept falling into that trap, having traded with a few people who like to hedge their trades. I've been in so much hedging trouble in the past, closing the wrong leg, taking losses that way, or just, yeah, getting stuck. It's not been worth it. So simple, clean, enter, find your target and exit, or at least sort of monitor like this throughout the trade. Looks like we're going to have to lose some of our paper profit here. Let's just watch this whole number 105.2. This could be the retest of this top and this top. I'll leave GJ out of this for now. It looks like it's seismograph. Hopefully sort of recording my trades is going to improve the probability or reduce the probability that I'm going to do stupid stuff as well. It's very easy for me to sit here and just click like it's a prop challenge, right? Phase one. It's not the end of the world if something goes wrong, but by the same token, I am shooting myself in the foot every time I work against myself. So yeah, just recording it's that accountability that can be quite useful. So we haven't got down to the 105.2 yet, but it looks like it's going to stab through in a second. Volumes are not really rounding down, they're kind of staying put, so this seems to be the new direction of travel. But this was quite a sudden push back upwards. So let's see what happens in the next minute or two. What I can also do is close this stop loss up, which will effectively move the, oh shit, oh damn it, didn't mean to do that. No, I've taken 20% off the trade. Basically, yeah, the idea was to move stop loss closer, so then we're already at 2R. Not for any like journaling or accounting reasons to fudge the books. I mean, that then tells my indicator when it comes back to 1R to start offloading. Or if I move it even closer, this is basically me going to break even. So then we're at 5R, and as it goes through 4, 3, 2, 1, it's just taking off all the way up. Shame I took that size off because I still wanted to see if this will push up. What's it now? 0.5. Took a third off. It's somewhat annoying. These things average out anyway over the next 100 trades. It's not too big of a deal, but now look at this. We've got a real push up here. Gold is just ready to go. Slightest weakness in the dollar and it pushes through. However, we've got the opposite situation playing out on pound dollar. Cable. See if there is a slight hint that this could go our way. But we're reaching the time of the morning now where things tend to just go sideways. Which isn't terrible if you want to trade the range, which I'm happy to do. But not great for this trade in particular, yeah. Yeah, again, this was the bot. Basically, I adjusted that. I don't know why. We must have been right on the cusp of 1 or 2R. Having been to 2R, that's not even true. Oh, I think it's when it comes back through 1R. I had a bug where it comes back through 1R and it takes a bit off. So it's like it's gone up, taken off, and then comes back down, not taken off, but it gets to 1R and it takes off again. I need to check the code on that. In theory, that should be fine because we're already trying to exit, you know, and we're half size anyway. We could just be re-entering. But yeah, I think that explains what happened there. Okay, Dixie failing to keep it going. Let's just close out. I'm kind of done here. Could try this technique just to see how well it works. Risking 26. Do you want to do this? Let's just let it hit 105.2 first. There's greed, a little bit of greed coming in now. When you can see it's going against you, but you don't. There we go. So this now will be the realistic picture of what's happening with the exit bot. So it thinks we got to multiple R. Now as it pulls back through these, it'll just be offloading. Our size will be down to not very much very soon. Let's wait for the next signal on the higher time frame. Yeah, this was actually a buy signal here. It'd be great if I do both at once sometimes, but just let them both play out, you know, 10 pips one way, 10 the other, but I'm not going to try grid trading just now. What happened here then? Oh, okay. I'd still expect to come up to 2360 just because it seems like it's been a hard stop. This could be one to watch actually. Short on gold. Let's see how this plays out. Oh, there was a gap. Has that just appeared or has that been there all along? I'll have to watch the recording back, I'm not sure. Oh, it's a 15-minute gap and it's just hit the top of the hour. So the last 15 minutes has generated this gap. Now, if this is a fresh supply zone, as they call it, this will be where we come back, test all these prices through here, pick up more supply, and push down. But it doesn't. It's not that reliable, in my opinion. Like, even I think the guys who trade that way are happy with sort of 50% win rates, 33% win rates, because when it does work, it goes for several R. So it works statistically, but for me, I'm not super happy with that style of trading. I like the higher win rates, but I still keep them on to, like, you know, as a sort of a gauge, like here, this one. So yeah, it's been respected throughout, like as an area. It's probably one thin here, so it could push through again. But the second one down here, obviously, nothing of any use to anyone. Maybe flipped the other way, but then you could say that about anything, you know. The idea that it's supposed to go in the direction it's come from should hold. They just work just enough to be interesting to keep on the charts for me. Or use as targets, approximate, you know, just to map out the field of play a little bit. This one picked up. This one blew through, but that was the leg that started it down here. You know, it needs some extra analysis, and I've not always got the headspace to do that. I'm just looking at sort of these kind of entries here, the stat arbs, along with the trend. If I took all of these and started to offload at the right time as it came down. Plenty of profit there. Look at this offloading all the way down. I think I'm down to next to nothing now in my position, even though it's starting to go our way. this gap will probably play out as like a picture perfect one, you'll see. Should have drawn that one on instead. I did mention it, didn't I? But yeah, here we go. What did volume do? It pushed up into this area. Oh, okay, reverse signal. Well, look, what I can do, if I trust it, is add some back in. Doesn't do any harm. I've already this is just the profit that's been made, taken off so far. We're still relying on this DXY being like resistant to this price or this index value, not even a price. But now this top could become the new bottom and the price ladder can just move in that direction. I'll play this one a bit close. I've only put one lot back on as well, so it's taken us back up to, yeah, whatever the size is. Try not to look at sizes and dollar amounts while I'm trading. I like the percentages only. Just scalable technique. This would work with $10 or $10,000. Keeps your psychology a bit straighter. Not worried about the value of a trade. Oh, that could buy 10 Big Macs or 10, yachts or whatever. It's just 20% or 0.2%, 0.3%. If I hit 1%, it's a happy day. Let me try and keep evaluating here. So we've got volume coming in down here. Now that could mean two things. Just the same story as any sideways market. I think I might be better off just zooming out and waiting for the next swing. This is kind of scratching around in the dirt a little bit here. Trade opportunities. Last chance for a bounce, I think, and then I'll get on with my day. Just the reality of a very dull trade, I think. It's not blown anyone away. It's not gone to 3, 5R. They do happen. It's not gone to a massive loss either. But you get an idea of sort of the risk management required, I think, to keep your account sort of safe. At least that's how I see it after a fair bit of experience of doing the opposite. Let's see what we can scrape out of this one. It's a grind, Nobody said it wasn't. I love the idea of swing trading your way up a P&L. Lower win rates, a lot more patience required. But when it starts to stack up and you get those big wins, oh, that's got to be great. And just the amount of monitoring you need. You've seen how much time I've needed to spend on this small, almost meaningless trade. And then I have to do this 10, 20 times, to grind out a good percentage. Yeah, I could up the risk, but all sorts of things start to go wrong when you do that too quickly. So yeah, I think I'll be working towards swing trading over time. But right now, this is the method in play. Right, so that's hit 1R. If we get through this area, rejection. I'm going to jump on the Dixie though, that's a good sign. With volume, not yet. That could be a good sign if the volume matches the previous, but it moves this much. That could be a good sign. Tempting to take everything off. Decisions. And for someone who's not the most decisive person, who likes to analyze everything twice, this becomes my own personal hell some days. But 7. Prop firms do not know what to do with this strategy either. Like the consistency score, I think I've got like an 80% consistency score on FTMO or higher. I think it went down a little bit when I went on tilt, but like multiple small wins as it sees these. These are all in profit despite it going the opposite direction. These just make it look like you're the world's most consistent trader to their metrics, which is clearly not the case. It's just being, you know, managing risk, taking it off when it goes against you and adding on when it goes for you. But yeah, it really tricks their metrics systems. Lots of thumbs up and approval for how you're trading. See if M1 would have picked this up. Yeah, M1 would have picked that up nicely on gold. So why are you not trading gold? Because crazy shit happens on gold, like a lot. I've done okay out of gold several times, but it's also bitten me so hard. I'm just very wary of it. But yeah, no, I'm not ignoring it. It's here. I'm still charting it. I'm still following it. Sideways is good on gold. Like these movements, 30 to 50 pips. I don't think that's the bottom for this. This is the problem with the indicator as well. It's an oscillator like any other. You have to read the rest of the chart to make sense of it. I'm surprised we didn't hit here yet. I think we're still aiming 2360. And now we've got our pullback. Are we going to hit this again? Or can we finally break through here? Like the volume here versus the volume here. Or does this volume need to come up to match this volume here? That's something I've never really studied, but you can sort of measure an area for ticks. I have an indicator that does that. Could be interesting. And then do you need a corresponding amount of ticks then to push through here, or does it not really work that way? Ticks versus volume and all those questions. Like, I don't know if it's worth trying to get into those weeds, really. Come on then, Dixie, let's see you pop up. Oh snap, looked away for a minute. I'll close this out, to be honest. I think I'm done here. just see how it goes in here before I snap react. I think that's probably a loss. This does not want to go anywhere. It's tried a few times now. Plus this high is lower than the last. Yeah, come on. Nothing here is clear cut. Small loss. This could turn into a big win. Could have been. But yeah, no, I'm not hanging around for a... You know, I said let's delete that one. The high here is lower than the last. I actually neglected to consider that the low is also higher than the last. Tempted to chuck one back on, but this is how I get chopped up. Let's just wait for a good swing. See, the stream, the recording's keeping me accountable. Should probably wait for the break of this if I set an alert down here, and then we'll come up and retest it. Otherwise we're up here doing the same thing. Set your fishing lines out and see how it goes. Let's just shut this baby down, I think. .06, yeah, that's not gonna change the world if it goes one way or the other. Okay. Interesting tangle. And what is more interesting is that I could have just, and this happens so often, taken the first pump plus the run over and just said, yep, 6 is enough. Punt, move on. Wait for the next signal, punt, move on. You know, that is not a terrible strategy. Look down here, gold. Respecting the signal once again. We find a spot where it doesn't, just to reassure myself that I'm not crazy for ignoring it. Yeah. Let's pull him back here. Broken-ish. Broken-ish. Broken. Get out just about break even if you're lucky there. But here, fresh pullback to supply, that was kind of, it's where you want to be looking. Like in the middle of the range, you don't really want to be entering. I need to code something in to filter these middle of ranges out. The edge of the range is fine. But like approaching the edge as well, but not right in the middle. So yeah, easy wins. This one's back up in the middle. That one's too late. Well, it's not really actually. You can take the pump and then carry it on for 30 pips. And we're back here again. Let me just... You can see as well, it's a lot of it's a patience game. So like to now wait, or to have waited in that trade and just left it to come back into this area. That's one thing that could improve in this situation, the performance. Other times it's better just to pull out because it could go just as easily the other way. And then the other bit of patience required would be to wait for this yellow line to play out. So you'd be having to keep yourself busy until then and sit on your hands, which when you're used to clicking on the lower time frames is definitely a challenge. 100%. So let's see if it just stays range bound until it breaks one way or the other. Yeah, I'll revisit these charts in the next hour or two. And I'll leave this up as an example of the average trade, shall we say. Catch you soon.